Hi, I'm Dr. Sherwana Davis, a psychotherapist, here to provide a review of Mary, which is a wonderful Netflix movie that is full of gems. As a therapist, I found so many life lessons that we can all apply to our lives. So let's get started with this review. There were lots of people inside of this historical drama, and we'll start with the hero, right? Which is Mary. She was the historic figure in this movie, but she was heroic throughout. And the big lesson from Mary is how to be resilient in the face of adversity. And she was met with adversity even before she was even born. We see in this movie her mother and father struggle with infertility, and she herself is a miracle baby, right? So she's a miracle baby that is about to give birth eventually to a miracle baby. And so we see this resilience play out even with the struggle they had with conception and being able to conceive her. She is eventually going to a religious place to be able to learn and be able to practice her religion. And we're able to see her be resilient even when she almost falls for, or at least is confronted with the good versus evil, even in this very sacred place that she goes off to live at. And of course, she overcomes that through the help of Gabriel, who shows up. He not only was present before she was born, but he was present throughout these very important points of her life. So Gabriel is there as an assistant. And so eventually she is pregnant. And so she's pregnant with a child. And during this time, of course, we learned that that could be something that is hazardous to her very existence, right? To be unwed and pregnant was not something that was condoned during that period of time. But we see her be resistant even in the face of that, even when people tried to shame her, even when people tried to belittle her and even attack her. We see her rise up against all of that and be very resilient and resourceful. We learn that she is not only, physically wonderful in terms of being able to conceive, but she's brilliant, right? She's really smart throughout this entire movie. She's absolutely brilliant. And so we learn and we see that throughout the actual movie. The second person is actually Joseph. And so he represents unconditional love. We see his unconditional love for Mary. He's willing to sacrifice himself, his name, his reputation, all that he has for the love of her. And so he represents that. He not only loves her, but he loves his child. And we see that play out in this movie as well. What we see between him and Mary and even the baby is what it looks like to have this secure attachment present, particularly once the baby is born. When Mary, in that very pivotal scene, request for Joseph to meet his son, and he reaches out his hand and the baby grabs it. That was symbolic of what it looks like to be securely attached. And I love this because it shows that a secure attachment can occur even when that person is not a blood relative, right? So I think it really does shed a great light on what it means to be a parent. And you can be a parent even if you're not a blood relative to a child. And so we see that play out very nobly with Joseph throughout this movie. He was a father to this child even before this child was born. So it really was nice to see in a movie what secure attachment looks like. The other part of this movie, we saw what it means to be in a healthy relationship. They were true partners, Marian and Joseph. They could not have made it through each one of those crises that they were in without having this partnership that was based on trust and love and security. And so, and honor in many ways. And so we saw they both were able to be complementary of each other in terms of their strengths and their abilities, and we saw in that very pivotal scene, even at the end, whenever the one person may have had some cause or some pause, the other person stood right up. right? So when Mary was afraid to jump off the burning building, he told her to jump, and she felt very secure to that he was going to help save her and this baby. So she trusted him, and he trusted her when he was unsure about whether or not they needed to enter that holy place at the end. He relied on his trust and his love of her, and she was able to show him that it was important that this baby enter this holy space.
In this film, Herod represents insecurity. He's a great example of what kind of destruction that someone can do to themselves and others when they are insecure. He also suffers from imposter syndrome. Here he is, the king, and he is so scared that his power will be overthrown that he's willing to take the lives of innocent people.
The other part of this that I thought was absolutely wonderful to watch was at the end, this phrase that came up. So it's another one of those moments where we learn how important it is to master our thoughts and not let other people's projections enter us, especially the negative projections that people have. So at the end, Mary is told that love will cost you dearly. It will pierce your heart. And again, she did not let this projection change her point of view. Her reply to that was, but in the end, love will save the world. So she was able to stay focused on what her goal was, what her mission was, what her purpose was, and what the purpose of this child is, and not get dismayed based upon what someone else may have thought. So I thought the movie was just wonderful, and I'd love to understand and hear your perspective on the movie as well. So share your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and remember, you deserve peace of mind.